Hello everybody and welcome. Today we have a 30-minute body weight strength training circuit for you. I'm going to start with 3 warm-up activities, and each exercise today will be 45 seconds on and 15 seconds off. Okay, so the first of our warm-up set will be a squat with a knee pull. Okay, so I'm going to start with my hands kind of behind my ears. My feet are slightly wider than shoulder width, toes are pointed slightly out, and I'm going to sit myself down into a squat, come up, and elbow towards that opposite knee. Okay, so a nice squat down and across to the opposite knee. Okay, some of our major goals when we talk about strength training is we want to really focus on getting a good range of motion. So whatever that is for you, right? Maybe you're only ready to come to here, that's okay. Again, we want to challenge you but not put you in a position where you could potentially injure yourself. So go as deep as you feel comfortable with for these squat knee pulls. The other thing that's important when we talk about strength training as it relates to this particular circuit is we want to be controlled with our movements. Okay, so you don't want to be jerky and fast. We want to be slow and controlled, and that's going to allow us to really challenge all of the joints of our body in order for us to kind of maintain appropriate body position while we move through those exercises. Okay, so squat with a knee pull was our first of the warm-ups. The next is just a shoulder open up exercise. So again, I want my core nice and tight. I'm standing in a good postured position, and I'm just opening up each direction and straight out. Okay, so again, our goal here is to just get those shoulders warmed up, getting our upper body blood flowing and ready to go for the strength portion of the circuit. Then the last of our warm-up activities is just an alternating toe touch. So again, I want to start with just a slight bend in my knees. I can start with my hands on my hips. Good erect posture, so shoulders are back, chest is up, nice neutral spine position, and I'm going to drive one knee up. So again, I have my knee up and my toe up. And again, this is important when we think about proper body mechanics, when we move into some of our running drills and things like that. Knee up, toe up is an excellent position for us to focus on because that's going to help us to improve our running efficiency as we get to this position while we're running. Okay, so knee up, toe up, and I'm reaching with my opposite hand straight down. Okay, so again, knee up, toe up, and reaching straight down. Okay. Might also be challenging from a balance perspective, and that's okay. Just keep it nice and slow. Reset if you kind of lose your balance, and we'll go through kind of as many as we can within that 45-second window. Okay, so that's the end of the warm-up. Then we're going to move into the circuit of those strength training exercises. We're going to go through the circuit 3 times through, and that'll give us a perfect 30 minutes on the workout. Okay, so the first of our exercises in the circuit is just a forward lunge. Again, you can kind of keep your hands on your hips here. We're going to take a nice big step forward. We're going to bring that back knee down, okay, and then you're going to drive off this front leg to bring you back to that starting position. Okay, so a nice big step forward and push off that front foot to get back to that starting position. Okay. Again, things to note with this exercise, we want to have a nice big step in front, and we want to make sure that we're not putting too much weight on this front leg. We want that weight to be pretty balanced between both legs, and we want to make sure that knee isn't sliding in front of those toes. So again, kind of thinking about keeping that weight on that back hip is a great way for us to kind of make sure that knee isn't sneaking in front of the toe in the front. Okay, so that is our forward lunge. Okay, next we'll move to a push-up. Again, 45 seconds for push-ups is kind of a long time, so do what you can, okay? If you can get some push-ups from this regular position, great. Okay, do as many as you can there. If you're not ready for that, you can start with a modified push-up. So again, hands are slightly wider than shoulder width. My hips, my knees, and my shoulders are all in a nice straight line, and I'm going to lower my chest down and breathe out as I drive back up. Okay, so again, if you're ready to do modified push-ups, great. Okay, so do as many as you can in that 45 seconds. Take as many breaks as you want to within that 45 seconds because 45 seconds seems to be like a really long time when you're doing push-ups. Okay, so do the best you can with that. Okay, the next exercise is called a groiner. We're going to do a slow groiner, and our goal with this is to really focus on hip mobility. So I'm going to start with my hands wider than shoulder width. I can get myself back to this position. I can also start with my knees down if this position is too challenging at this point, okay? So from this position, I'm going to bring one of my feet towards my hand to this position, okay? So again, we'll go from here, hold for a second, back to our starting position, other foot, hold for a second, and back to our starting position, okay? So that's a groiner, again, nice and slow. We talked about getting a good range of motion, but meeting yourself where you are right now, okay? So again, if you can't get up to your hand, that's totally fine. If you can get to here, great. Or if you can get to here, that's okay as well, right? So just focus on where can you get yourself as it relates to that range of motion, and we're just alternating sides with that. I did give one modification for this as well, if you want something a little more challenging and maybe more of a deeper stretch. So I'm going to bring my foot up towards that hand, then I'm gonna open up my chest, place that hand back down, and switching sides. Okay, so opening up towards that knee that's forward is gonna give us a nice stretch in this back hip flexor. If that's an area that's tight for you, it is for me. That feels really good to kind of have that open up in the middle of that groiner. Okay, so again, that would be a little bit more advanced than the first option that I showed you. Okay, next we have bird dogs. Bird dogs, you're gonna be on your hands and knees, a nice neutral spine position. Our eyes are straight down so we can keep our neck in a nice straight line with the spine. And I'm going to take my opposite elbow to knee in the center here. I'm gonna kick them out to extension, come back to center, and set them back down, and switch sides. Okay, a great exercise for posterior chain. It requires you to activate your core as well, so it's a nice kind of full body challenge in terms of not only strength, but also balance. Okay, so that's the bird dogs there. Next, we'll move into a dolphin plank, and I've got two different options for the dolphin plank. Okay, so for the dolphin plank, you can start on your forearms in a nice plank position. Again, shoulders, hips, ankles are all in a nice straight line, and basically over the course of 45 seconds, I'm going to drive my hips up and back to center. Okay, if you want an easier option from this, if that one's too challenging, you can start from your hands instead. This seems a little bit easier in my opinion. And you're going to come to that push-up position. I'm going to drive my hips up and kind of think about driving my heels towards the ground, a nice stretch and that posterior chain in the back of your legs. Back to that push-up position, and then driving those hips up, okay? Again, shooting for 45 seconds. If you can do 20 seconds to start, great, start there. Rest for the rest of the time if you need to. And then, you know, the next time you do this workout, try to get 30 seconds. So again, I think these workouts are all designed so that we can meet you where you are, and you can kind of focus on progressing wherever your starting point is. Okay, so that was a dolphin plank. Next, we're gonna move to a glute bridge. The glute bridge, I'm laying flat on my back. Hands are out to the side, feet are flat on the ground. My head is resting on my mat or on the ground. I am going to push my hips up. I'm gonna squeeze my booty, squeeze those glutes. As I pull those hips up, core isn't tight, okay? Hold for a second up here. Again, my weight's kind of on my heels, so I could wiggle my toes if I wanted, and back down, okay? So driving those hips up, pull that belly in tight, and back down. Okay, so that's a simple glute bridge, and as many as you can in 45 seconds. If you want more of a challenge, you can lift a leg up. So if you wanted to do kind of a more advanced version, I'm gonna come up with those hips. I'm gonna drive my foot up. Again, notice I've got that toe flexion, I've got that knee flexion, which would mimic a nice running motion while I do that. Okay, so I'm gonna drive my hips up. I'm gonna have dorsiflexion, good knee flexion, with that leg I'm lifting, okay? So that's our glute bridge. Next we'll move to another shoulder exercise. So we're coming up to a standing position. With this exercise, I want my feet about shoulder width apart. knees are slightly bent. And again, the most important thing with this exercise is maintaining a good neutral spine position. So really think about keeping our chest out, and it might help to kind of think about pulling our shoulder blades together in the back as you move to the starting position for this exercise, okay? So from here, I'm gonna hinge forward from the hips, again, trying to keep my back nice and flat as I move forward. This is about as far as I can get forward, and I feel a nice stretch in my hamstrings. But you might be able to get forward a little bit further. I don't have great hamstring mobility, but this is a good spot for me, okay? Once I get to this position, I'm gonna bring my hands out and kind of relax those shoulders, and I'm gonna rotate through a Y, T, squeeze the shoulder blades, and W, okay? Again, focusing on good range of motion, slow and controlled for each of these movements. Okay, so that's the YTW, you're just kind of rotating through each of those. And then our last exercise for this circuit is just an alternating RDL, or an alternating toe touch. So again, we did this in the warm-up, so we're just kind of repeating it here too to get a little bit more hamstring mobility. So again, I'm gonna start in this position, nice erect spine, knees are just slightly bent, hands can be on the hips when I get started. I'm gonna drive that knee up, toe up, and reaching down, good range of motion for this exercise. Should feel a nice stretch in the back of the hamstrings for that, okay? So those are the exercises for the circuit. You're gonna do each of those exercises 3 rounds through, okay? Then next, we're gonna be ready for our cool down. 3 things that we'll do within our cool down to kind of get our muscles stretched back out, work on a little bit more range of motion as we bring our heart rates back down, okay? So the first, I'm gonna get a nice wide stance, okay? So we'll do a bent over wide stance chest opener. It's a lot of words. So I'm gonna get my feet nice and wide wherever that is for you. Again, this is a pretty good spot for me. Maybe you can get wider, maybe you need to keep them a little more narrow. Up to you, wherever you're at for today. And I wanna open up my chest. I'm gonna grab my hands behind my back, get to this good chest opener position. When I feel comfortable with where my hands are, then I'm gonna hinge forward from the hips. And just wherever you feel comfortable here, you should feel a nice stretch in the hamstrings and in the chest. And we'll hold this position for about 45 seconds. Okay, so that's that wide stance chest opener. Next, we're gonna come back down to the floor for our last 2 stretches. A little bit of mobility with these as well. So I'm gonna start in a cross-legged position, and I'm gonna start with just an alternating side stretch. So from this position, I'm going to place one hand on my side and reach straight overhead. Okay. Alternating sides. If that's too easy for you and you could use a little more of a stretch, you can come down to your forearm, kind of open up here. I feel a really nice stretch on my side, but also in my hips as well, because I'm in this cross-legged position. Again, just rotating through both sides for that one throughout your 45 seconds, okay? And then the last stretch, I call it a cross-legged rainbow stretch. And I call it a rainbow stretch because we're gonna try to hit this joint at all the various angles that we can in order to really target any tight muscles that you might have, okay? So from this cross-legged position, I'm gonna spend a little bit of time here. Okay, I'm gonna slide my hands forward. Just kind of spending about 5 or so seconds in each of these positions as we kind of rotate through. Again, a really nice stretch for those lateral hip muscles and for the back as well. And I like to end just a little bit more time here, kind of in the center. Really stretching out those IT bands, the glutes a little bit, and a nice stretch for our trapezius or upper back muscles as well. Okay, so 45 seconds total for the rainbow cross-legged stretch, and that'll give you exactly 30 minutes for this workout. I hope you have a great workout and a great day, and we'll see you next time.